There are places where the water remembers, places where the surface looks calm, but something moves beneath it. Something older than the towns built along its shore. In the summer of 2026, a man walking a quiet ridge above Lake Champlain saw something rise from the hillside, not from the water, but from the land itself. A creature slick with moisture, shaped like nothing he had ever seen, moving with a slow, deliberate weight, as if the lake had sent one of its secrets crawling back into the daylight. Tonight, we follow his steps and return to the place where legends breathe. Welcome to Rick's Storyverse, where the night has a voice and every shadow has a story. Lake Champlain has carried whispers for more than a century. Long necks rising from the waves, dark shapes gliding beneath boats, ripples that move against the wind. But this sighting didn't happen on the water. It happened on the hillside above Port Henry, where something wet, heavy, and alive climbed out of the brush in broad daylight. June 10th, 2026. The morning air over Port Henry was cool, the kind of quiet that makes the lake look like polished stone. A local resident man who walked the ridge trail every day before work followed the narrow path that cuts through the trees above the shoreline. He knew every bend of that trail, every fallen branch, every patch of moss. Nothing ever changed there until that morning. As he reached a curve overlooking the water, he noticed something strange. The brush ahead of him was moving, not swaying in the wind, but shifting as if something heavy was pushing through it. He stopped. The movement grew slower, more deliberate. Then the shape rose. Dark mass lifted from the hillside, taller than a man, slick with moisture that caught the morning light. The witness later said the creature's skin looked almost reflective, not like fur, not like scales, but like something built for deep water. It didn't roar, it didn't thrash. It simply turned. A long neck arced towards the lake, moving with a smoothness that made the witness's stomach tighten. He said it looked too fluid, too controlled, like watching a creature that didn't belong on land. The head was narrow, the eyes set wide apart, dark and unreadable. For a moment, the creature seemed to study the shoreline below, as if deciding whether to return to the water. Then, it shifted its weight. The brush flattened beneath it. Moisture dripped from its body, leaving dark patches on the ground. The witness said the smell was faint, but unmistakable. A cold mineral scent, like deep lake water, stirred from the bottom. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. The creature angled its head toward him, not aggressively, but knowingly, as if it had been aware of him long before he arrived. Then, with a slow gliding motion, it slipped back down the slope. No panic, no rush, just a silent descent into the trees. The witness waited until the sound of the shifting brush faded. Then he approached the spot where it had stood. The ground was soaked. The vegetation was pressed flat, as if something massive had rested there. A trail of moisture led toward the shoreline, a thin, dark ribbon across the rocks, before disappearing entirely. No footprints, no claw marks, no tracks, just the silence of the lake and the unsettling feeling that something enormous had returned to the depths. When he reported the sighting later that day, he didn't embellish it. He didn't claim glowing eyes or supernatural speed. He simply described what he saw. A creature built for water, moving on land, rising from a hillside where nothing should be. And that's what makes this sighting stand out. It wasn't dramatic, It wasn't sensationalized. It was quiet. And quiet sightings are often the ones that linger because they feel so real. Lake Champlain has carried stories for generations. Ripples that move against the wind, shadows that glide beneath the boats, shapes that rise and vanish before anyone can react. But every so often, something breaks the pattern. Something climbs out of the water and onto the land. And when it does, the people who witness it never forget. The man who walked that ridge still avoids that section of the trail. He says the memory isn't frightening, just heavy, like the hillside itself remembers the weight of what climbed across it. Whether it was Champ or something else, that part remains in the shadows. I'd like to end this story with a poem, and here's the poem. The hillside stirred beneath the morning light. A shape rose slow from the fading night. Its skin dripped cold with a lake's deep breath. A silent form with a presence of depth. It turned its gaze towards the water's gleam. A creature born from a half-seen dream. It slipped away with gliding grace, leaving only silence to fill the place. The brush lay flat where its weight had been, a mark of truth in a world of unseen. And though it vanished beyond my sight, the lake kept hold of its secret tight. That's another story from the edge of night. Please like and subscribe to keep the torch alight. But beware, every Friday night a new story emerges from the shadows into the light. Good night.